Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing tonight? Good. How many people here are parents? Almost everybody. Awesome. Any grandparents in the room? Lots too. Fabulous. Any children between the ages of 8 and 12? No, not so much. Oh, got one in the back. That's good. That's okay, because I think Island Kids and the entire Courageous Kids series can appeal to everyone, no matter what age you are. I think that's one of the magic parts about this series. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it and also read you a little excerpt so you can get a bit of a sense of these books. So, I'm going to get my notes so I don't forget what to say. So Island Kids, as Ruth mentioned, is the third book in the Courageous Kids series. And this series is really a landmark in CanLit, I think, because it endeavors to capture stories and voices from children from Canada's past and present. All the stories in the Courageous Kids series are true, but they're written in the style of creative nonfiction. And this means that all the authors part of this series have endeavored to write these true stories in the style of fictional prose. The idea behind this is to get kids and adults, and anybody really, more interested in history by creating characters that people can connect with. It brings history right off the page and makes you feel like you're not reading history out of a textbook that, you know, can be a little drab sometimes. But instead you're reading a story about a real kid that once lived and could very well be you or your neighbor or somebody that you once knew. So these stories are fun, and they connect people. They connect people with another kid, with a real story, and with a landscape. In my case, that landscape was Vancouver Island and the Gulf Islands. And I'm going to share a little piece of a story today with you. This story is set in 1947 in a little town called Ladysmith, and it's about two young boys. The one boy that's narrating the story, his name is Gerald Williams, and he's 13 years old. And to build this story, I interviewed Gerald and his brother, and the three of us put together this story, so I will now give you a little taste here. It's called The Chocolate Strike. Some of you might be familiar with this little tidbit of history here. "What are you going to do without chocolate bars?" a reporter asked a Ladysmith boy. "Ice cream's better," the little boy grinned. "If ice cream were better, we wouldn't be holding this strike, would we?" I whispered to the group of us huddled against the school. We passed around the news clipping from the Victoria Colonist. We hadn't heard that a reporter from Victoria had come all the way up here to write a story, but that just showed how important our strike was. "Did you hear about the reporter from Vancouver?" asked Emily. We all shook our heads. "My brother told me he's going to be down at Wigwam's at lunch hour from Vancouver. We should go down for lunch." "We can't," I said. "We don't have permission from our parents." "But we're doing no good protesting up here at the school," said Jeff. "Come on, Jerry. The teachers can't stop us if we all go." He had a point. And it was up to us to fight this battle after all. The bell rang, and the lot of us pulled on our coats against the cool April breeze. I kept my eye on our teacher, Miss Clements, and most of the class casually strolled out the door and across the school field. It was only an 8-minute walk or so, and we wanted to run, but we'd wait until we were out of sight of the school. I stuffed my hands in my pockets, rolling my fingers over the shiny nickel that I usually reserved for an O. Henry bar or a Nielsen's milk chocolate. Not today, though. We had sworn to stop buying chocolate until this strike was settled, a full boycott. "Stop!" shouted a stern voice behind us. Do we run for it? I thought about it, but we all knew the deal. Disobeying a teacher meant a sharp rap on the knuckles or a class detention inside for a week, which meant no chocolate strike at all. Slowly, the group turned to face Miss Clements. "Where do you all think you're headed?" she asked. "Downtown," I said loudly, "to the chocolate strike." "I see," she said. "Do you have permission from your parents?" It's amazing how a teacher can look 10 kids right in the eyes all at once. Emily dug her toe of her shoe in the grass. This was it. I elbowed Jeff in the ribs, but he elbowed me back harder. "Miss Clements," I said, stepping forward, "it's important that we go downtown today, even if we don't have permission." We all know that since the war ended, the price of food and such has been rising. I pointed to the other kids in the group. All of our mothers have been protesting about the price of butter and milk. I was on a roll now. The words sort of tumbled out of me. And we have a right to say what matters to us, too. And Miss Clements, we won't stand for 8-cent chocolate bars. 5 cents was steep enough, but 8 cents, that's just plain unreasonable. Yeah, cried the group, throwing their fists in the air. It's important that we go downtown today, I said. We're on a chocolate strike, and we mean business. Story goes on from there, and at the end of every single story we have a what do we know for sure section that talks a little bit about the history behind each story, how we found the story by interview or in the history books, and a little bit about where you can find more on each story, more resources. So that's my book, Island Kids, part of the Courageous Kids series, and I hope you guys all have a lovely night.